Hello, I'm Brittany Marshall. On this edition of Commuter Connections, we'll meet MDOT MTA's Deputy Administrator and Chief Planning, Programming, and Engineering Officer, Holly Arnold. She's breaking down barriers at the agency as a top-ranking woman in transit. Also, we're adding new buses to our fleet. We'll show you the new additions to MDOT MTA Transit. We've got a look at the Baltimore Farmers Market and Bazaar. And we'll meet a few special people in transit who keep things moving. All on this edition of Commuter Connections. It takes a lot of dedicated and talented people to keep transit moving in Maryland. One of them is also breaking down barriers as MDOT MTA's new Deputy Administrator and Chief Planning, Programming, and Engineering Officer. She's Holly Arnold, and we welcome her to the program. Holly, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you have an extremely long title, but that means a lot of work gets done. So tell me kind of a day in the life of Holly Arnold.
So there is kind of no typical day in the life. So my responsibilities are for the offices of planning and capital programming, the Office of Real Estate, and then the Office of Engineering, which also includes facilities and systems engineering, construction management, quality assurance and quality control, and project controls. So as you can imagine, there's a whole vast variety of things that I get to be involved with, and so lots of meetings, lots of providing guidance and oversight to those folks, and really it's just kind of like making sure that Kevin's vision for the administrator gets transitioned down to all of the offices under my purview.
And so far, what has been your greatest accomplishment?
So actually, I think in my prior role as the Director of Planning and Capital Programming, the transition when Kevin was appointed to Administrator was very quick, and there was a lot of turnover in the office. And so I think the thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that we were able to keep a very high level of effort and output from the office. I mean, so after Kevin left, we had transition in management. So all of the managers also left at some point during that time. So I was kind of doing all of the jobs. And we were able to bring new people on, get them up to speed quickly. We applied for grants and won, I think, close to $10 million in grants over that year, as well as just kind of, kept things going and kept a high level of effort going after all that transition, and with Baltimore Link as well. So, after Baltimore Link, I think the entire staff felt like maybe they could just take a second, relax, and breathe. And we had to remind them that no, the Baltimore Link had its first launch, and then the second launch when students went back to school. And so we organized and planned that and had over 100 volunteers that were out there for the first 2 days of school when students started that year.
A lot of work is getting done.
Yeah.
A lot of work. So could you tell me how did you get to this position? I know you talked about your previous position and part of that being your greatest accomplishment, but tell me more.
So when I started at MTA about 6 years ago, I started in the capital programming department. So responsible for the 6-year capital program that ranges between $3 and $4 billion. In that role, it's really great. You get to see the entire agency. So every single department that has a capital project, you get to go and talk to them, learn what they do, learn how the projects work. And so it was a really good kind of jumping off point for this role as well, because all of those people now report to me, but I also have a pretty thorough understanding of the entire agency and how it works.
Did you always think that you would be in transit?
No. So I actually grew up on a farm in Southeast Ohio, so a 400-acre farm. If you open up the transit app there, you would not see any transit nearby. And so transit was not something that I was really aware of until I went to college in Pittsburgh. And so I went to college, I didn't have a car, and so I got very excited about the bus. It opened up this whole new world about being able to travel throughout the whole city, and I went and got lost and all that, and so just really loved it and loved learning about transit, and so then kind of ended up following that passion and found a career.
And you received a huge honor recently, the Top 40 Under 40 for Mass Transit Magazine. How does that feel?
So I'm very proud of that. It's such an honor to be named among so many accomplished people. When you look at the past and present people who are named on that list, you see a lot of the top people in the industry, and so I'm very proud of that accomplishment, and I'm hoping I can live up to that.
And many will call you a trailblazer in transit. So how do you feel you've been able to get through some of the obstacles you have faced to get to this point?
So I think a couple of things. So when, growing up on a farm, the farm work never stops. And so there's always, animals to be fed and work to be done. And so I think that's one way is that I just, I don't stop. I probably work too much and enjoy working too much. But I think outside of that, I really come into things with a focus on collaboration and like how can we work together to get to the same spot. Again, through my prior role, I was able to learn everyone in the agency and get to know them well. And so being able to work together with people, I think, is how I kind of get through tough times and are able to get to a solution.
And have there been anyone in this industry that has helped you progress or really help be a sounding board for you?
So I worked with Kevin in my prior role a lot, and so he's obviously been a great influence and be able to bounce things off of. I've also been involved in the American Public Transportation Association. They have a leadership program, and I was in the 2017 Leadership APTA class. And I would say that was a big jump forward in my career at that point. The exposure that I got to different people around the industry, and just being around 25 smart, motivated, passionate people really helped me to kind of push my career forward.
And you talked about being around people and getting to connect with so many different offices. Would you say that that's the best part of your job?
Absolutely. There's so many awesome, amazing people who work at MTA, and their backgrounds and backstories are just awesome to get to hear and get to know.
And for those who would like to work in transit, young women especially, kind of what's your advice to them?
I say do it. I think transit is great. I love the career. I love all the different people that you get to work with and the exposure. And there's so many different paths within transit. I mean, you can do marketing, accounting, operations, engineering, that there's not just kind of one path in the transit industry.
And how can people find more information about employment options?
So at MTA, you should check out our website at mta.maryland.gov or stop by our offices at 6 St. Paul on the 5th floor and visit our Human Resources Department.
Holly, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
And MDOT MTA is adding a number of new buses to its large transit fleet. Up next, a look at how these new vehicles will make a difference in your transit experience. Stay with us.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
MDOT MTA is dedicated to providing the very best service on all of its modes. On the bus system, there are 70 new transit coaches being added to replace a number of older vehicles. Dave Varner, MDOT MTA Director of Bus Maintenance, joins us with more on these new buses. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Brittany.
All right, so my first question is, what are some of the features of these new buses?
Well, every year we try to make improvements to our buses. We take feedback from the riding public, the bus operators, the mechanics, everybody we can get input from to make improvements. Some of the new features are small and simple, like the monitors on the buses. We've moved them to the ceiling of the bus for better views, so if you have a standing load of patrons on the buses, it's easier to see. Every year we also coat the inside of the buses with a product called EcoSeal. So this coating helps kill germs for up to about a year on the bus. So every new bus will also get that coating, and then we do every bus in the fleet at least once a year, help cut down on the germs. And then we're looking at other features eventually down the road, possibly UV lighting for the return air vents to help with airborne things like that too. So we're constantly tweaking and adding different features. Last year we started getting away from the cloth seats. That was another complaint from riders, with wet seats and smell. So we've gone to plastic hard seats. They're comfortable. No complaints from the riding public. Majority of them like it. We've teamed up with agencies like SEPTA and other ones that are also doing the same thing. So it makes the bus a lot cleaner, they're easier to clean and cleaner for the riding public too. So some of the improvements that we've done or tried is something as simple as a smaller steering wheel. We actually went to a smaller steering wheel because we didn't really need the large one, because all buses now have power steering. So those are one of the features, and then we make improvements like our safe turn alert, or what the riding public knows as our talking buses. So the buses announce, when they turn, to let folks know that they're turning for safety reasons. One of the features we added was actually a flashing LED light, because everybody's got headphones on, not paying attention, everybody's looking at their smartphones. So it's another feature that if you can't hear the bus, at least you can see the flashing light to get your attention, let you know that the bus is getting ready to turn for everybody's safety.
And you're talking about safety changes, new features. So are there any more safety features that you guys have added to these buses?
Well, some that we've added that's kind of unseen. There's the newer buses, because we want them to ride a little bit smoother and softer, so they tend to sway, kind of like a old Cadillac or Buick now. So there's a new feature out there that works with the airbag suspension to try to stabilize it a little bit more, stop some of the leaning and rocking and stuff as it kind of goes down the street. It helps for safety with the operator driving, cuts back on some of the leaning, and the curbs are kind of high here. So different features like that we also look at and add to the system.
And why do you feel that these new buses were needed for our fleet here at MDOT MTA?
For anybody that runs a fleet, whether it's cars, buses, trucks, you have to have a fleet management plan. So as part of our fleet management plan, it's different than like the rail cars or the subway trains or things like this. We have to replace the buses every year. So part of our fleet plan is 70 buses per year, which means we buy 70 brand new buses and we get rid of 70 of the oldest fleet out there. That helps with maintenance, breakdowns, safety features, and everything else that goes along with it. But that's our fleet management plan.
And these new buses, tell me how they get to Baltimore, the process that they go through to make sure that they're ready for the road.
Well, they're actually driven here, believe it or not, and it helps with part of our inspection and acceptance process. So right now, the company that makes them is a company, New Flyer, which is out in Minnesota. So we have inspectors out at the plant that goes through the whole bus build from the frame all the way to the final body and everything else being put on the bus, and they sign off and do the inspections. Then the bus is driven here to Baltimore. It's a good long drive, good way to beat it up, and then we re-inspect the bus again here, and some things that we can inspect out there, like our radio system and other things that have to communicate with our systems that we have here in Baltimore. So the first bus is actually going through that acceptance testing right now.
After the acceptance testing, what's next? How long will it take to actually get on the roadway?
It can usually take from 2 weeks, sometimes to a month, especially with the pilot bus, because this is our opportunity to look at everything, kind of beat it up, reevaluate it, and decide if we want to make any improvements or alterations before the rest of the fleet goes online out at the plant. So about 2 weeks is about the normal time to go through the acceptance.
All right, and how many years of service are these buses expect to give us?
Well, because they are federally funded, we have to keep them for at least 12 years. We're averaging usually about 14 years. That's what most transit agencies are due. So about 14 years, they're pretty much beat up and used up and due for replacement.
All right, and so you said even next year you'll be looking for some new buses, correct?
70 buses a year for the next 5 years.
All right, well, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Looking forward to those new buses coming.
Yes, let me know what you think.
All right. And just last month, we started something new, a segment that focuses on the people of MDOT MTA, like our operators, mechanics, and supervisors. It's all about you getting to know them better and their commitment to providing safe and reliable service. This story is about a very special bus operator. Today, we meet MDOT MTA bus operator Sharon Easley.
I become a Walmart fanatic. So that's the 77 Catonsville. My name is Robert R. Brown, and I'm a retiree from Verizon Services. It gives my heart joy to commend folks who go beyond what's expected. 1413, very, very good diction. I love the way she speaks.
My name is Sharon Easley, badge number 1413, an operator out of Bush Division. Not only do I speak very well, I also drive very well.
I don't think she's from Baltimore.
Originally from Bronx, New York, born and raised, came down to Baltimore in 2007. I've been with MDOT MTA since 2013. This is my 6th year there.
She does it well.
Well, I like being on the road, and I tried the office thing, you know, being indoors, but that just really made me feel way too boxed in. And I like working with the people, so coming to MTA and becoming an operator is a way I get to do both things I like at the same time.
And she looks out for people.
Well, when elderly or anyone disabled with walkers or just that aren't really too sure on their feet, I won't move the bus until I make sure that they are in a seat somewhere sitting down, so I know that they're okay, because I don't want to take off and someone gets hurt. It's important to me for 2 reasons. One, I think the elderly are just the most precious people. And second reason is my mom, an 84-year-old lady who still thinks she's 50, but, you know, she catches buses as well, and I try to be the kind of operator that I would want my mother on the bus with. Safety is first and foremost and is the utmost importance to me. And actually, before I move a bus, whether I relieve it or pull it out, I say a little prayer to keep me safe, keep my passengers and anybody around my bus safe. And I also say a little prayer for my coworkers, you know, to keep them and their passengers safe as well. We left the house this morning, and I would love everyone to make it back home at the end of the day. It's sincerely an honor, and I even think the word honor is an understatement, because just when you think nobody really pays attention, I'm just up there minding my business going down the road, that someone behind me is actually paying that much attention to what I'm doing. But for someone to actually just notice it, you know, enough to make a phone call, it's an honor. It truly, truly is, and I thank him. So I'm not sure which direction I'm going in the future, but you will be seeing me behind the wheel for a little while longer.
With the return of spring, a popular destination for many in the region is the Farmers Market and Bazaar in Baltimore. And MDOT MTA is your best ride for getting to all that the event offers. A look at this event coming up next.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Spring is here, and a great place to visit in the downtown area is Baltimore Farmers Market and Bazaar. There's a lot going on there. Sam Hansen of the Baltimore Office of Promotion and the Arts joins us with a look at this very popular event. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So first, I want to know, where exactly is the Farmers Market located?
Okay, we are under the Jones Falls Expressway, down by the Hollywood Diner, by Saratoga, Holiday Street, and we're there every Sunday morning from 7 to noon.
And tell me, what are some of the best features that people can, or best things people can see?
The food is probably the best one. We've got a lot of great farms. We've got some unique and delicious food vendors. We've also got, it's not just the food, it's also a bazaar, so we have crafts, handmade stuff. It's also an event pretty much. We've got live performances, we've got cooking classes. There's a lot going on under the bridge there.
What are some, and it's been going on for so long, what are some of the favorites?
Well, the longest line you'll find at our market is definitely for Black Sauce Kitchen. They do biscuit sandwiches, biscuits and gravy, and it's really good. They do it right, and the line proves it.
And for those in Baltimore who want to take MTA to get there, what are some of the options?
Yeah, a bunch of different lines will take you down to the market. The CityLink green, red, and yellow will all do it. Also the 105, the 115, 154, the 54.
Well, a lot of options.
Yeah.
A lot of options. And over 40 years for this farmers market. Can you tell me a little bit about its history?
Sure. We started in 1977 under William Donald Schaefer, and we've been going strong ever since. We added the bazaar section of the farmers market a few years ago, maybe something like 10 years ago, I believe. And we have some of the original farms are still with us. They've been there all 42 years.
That's amazing.
There's a few generations of farmers at our market that their kids grew up going to the market every Sunday, and now they have farms and their kids are coming to the market every Sunday.
And how big is the crowds? I know there's obviously a lot of people who come out to those type of events, especially when it's great weather.
Certainly.
So tell me about how big the crowds have gotten for you all.
You want a specific number?
No, I mean, if you have it, I'm here for it.
It depends on where you are in the market. Sometimes you're shoulder to shoulder, and sometimes you got plenty of room to just sit down and eat your food. But we range from about 8,000 to 10,000 a Sunday.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. And you talked about entertainment with the bazaar portion. What are some of the things that you can find there?
In the bazaar, we have handmade soaps, we've got candles, we've got jewelry, we've got clothing items, some vintage stuff. And for entertainment, we have a vast array of buskers that'll come down to the market and perform. We also bring in performances on some days.
Something rare, a knife sharpener, you were telling me?
Yeah, there's a knife sharpening truck. There's a couple, they own this truck, and it has all sorts of different grinders, and they'll do everything from lawnmower blades to scissors to just kitchen knives.
And how can someone be a part of this? How do you all gather vendors?
We have an application process. So for folks that are looking to be a full season vendor, that process starts in September and goes through the end of the year. But for folks looking to be at the market like in the middle of the season, we have pop-up options for them. So throughout the year you can apply to be a pop-up vendor, and then you can come for a few days of the season.
And where can people find more information about that?
Yeah, all of our applications are through our website, which is promotionandarts.org. And there you'll find a section for the farmers market, which has all the applications and how to be a vendor and vendor rules.
And I know things change every year, so how much preparation goes into making it what it is?
That's pretty much what I'm doing from the end of the market to the start of the market. So the prep involves making sure all the applications are in and that we have a diverse array of vendors. There's permits and some pretty basic logistics stuff as well.
First Sundays, something new every month.
So
what's going on this one?
First Sundays are special events at the market where the first Sunday of every month we'll bring in special programming with a theme. So as well as every first Sunday we have a cooking class with Chef Egg. He comes down and takes folks on a tour of the market, and then they'll cook with items from the farmers at the market that are in season that day. And they get to eat them up and learn how to use what's in season.
Well, that's an awesome experience, I'm sure. Is there anything expected for June for the first Sunday?
June is Nurse Appreciation Month, so we usually have special gifts and discounts for nurses.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. I look forward to taking your trip to the farmers market.
Thanks. We look forward to seeing you down there.
All right. And when we return, interviews with the winners of one of the most anticipated events for MDOT MTA, the annual Rail Rodeo.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Last month, MDOT MTA held its annual Rail Rodeo competition to recognize the skills of light rail link and metro subway link operators and mechanics. There were many participants, but only one per competition could walk away with the title champion. On the last Saturday in April, 6 operators met at the Cromwell Light Rail Division to compete for the title of Top Rail Operator.
This event is just super important for the staff. It helps to build teamwork, camaraderie. It shows how much it's important for the agency to sort of recognize its employees for doing a great job. This is our way of sort of recognizing that and showcasing all of their talents.
Last year's winner, Early Kid, was ready to defend her crown.
My prediction for this year is hopefully I'll be having another win under my belt.
Looking over her shoulder were 5 other participants eager to take home the trophy.
Is the pressure on or what?
The pressure is on.
Operators compete in 5 areas: uniform inspection.
The uniform inspection, what we did today was to make sure that all of the operators were well groomed, they were neat, that they have all equipment and ready for service.
Customer service, train inspection, a written test, and the operating course. There's also a mechanics competition. Families who came to cheer on their loved ones were treated to face painting, a DJ, and a photo booth. And the MTA police were there with a canine demonstration. The big question throughout the day was if last year's winners could repeat their victory. For the mechanics team, that answer was yes.
This is their, 3rd year now? 3rd year in a row that they're going to be representing us. So first person on the team is Henry Kenny Jr. Next on the team is going to be Mr. Dan Huff. He's a lead man in facilities maintenance. And then last but not least, you got Wilbert Lewis. He's been in Metro Systems maintenance for 36 years.
This is our 3rd year together. We competed in Baltimore, Denver, and now we get to go to Toronto.
And for Operator of the Year,
Miss Early Kid.
I always try to be my best, and no matter what I do, I try to do my best every day, not just on certain days. So once you get into a habit of doing certain things, it comes naturally to you.
When asked what it might take for someone to knock her off her throne, Early had this to say.
Bring your A game next year.
MDOT MTA's top 2 winners, Early Kid and Eugene Metz, will be taking their A game to the International Rodeo in Toronto in June. Congratulations to the MDOT MTA Rail Rodeo winners. That brings us to the end of another edition of Commuter Connections. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.